Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Decentralized Justice broadcast. I am Federico As. I am president at the cooperative Cleros, and our guest today is my friend André Guskow Cardoso. How are you, André? All good?
Fine. Thank you for the invitation. It's a great pleasure to talk with you.
Well, thank you for accepting my invite, and let me tell the audience a bit about you. So, Andre is an attorney with an LLM from the Federal University of the State of Paraná. He is a partner at the firm Justin Pereira, Oliveira, and Talamini, a member of the Digital Law and Data Protection Commission of the Brazilian Bar Association, State of Paraná chapter, and an arbitrator listed in the CAM-FIEP roster. He has authored several articles and book chapters in the areas of technology, public law, regulation, and public procurement. And I want to, say that I'm very excited about having this conversation with you, Andre, because I have always been surprised by the level of interest of Brazilians in Cleros, both for team members and people from the community. And this interest becomes a bit more understandable if we consider some key statistics about the Brazilian legal industry. So I was doing some research, and in 2021, I saw that there were approximately 1.3 million registered lawyers in Brazil, which makes it one of the countries with the highest number of legal professionals in the world. And the Brazilian Bar Association has over 1 million registered members across the country. The size of the legal market in Brazil is estimated to be around $14 billion. And well, however, there are many challenges on the horizon. For instance, significant backlog of cases in the traditional justice system, complex bureaucracy, and also a history of corruption, as in many countries in Latin America, right? So, I'm super excited to have you here because all of this has created a lot of obstacles for Brazilians to have access to justice, and we want to understand how technology can help overcome these problems. Okay. So let's get started as we start with all of our guests, and tell us a bit about your journey. How you became a lawyer and what sparked your interest in ODR and legal innovation.
Yeah, thank you again for the invitation. And I'm a lawyer for 20 years now, so I have a long journey from the law school from to here. So during this time, I studied especially public law and in the special regulation and regulated markets, and also arbitration. I've always worked with litigation in our firm, so related to these themes. And from I can say that from 2017, 2018 on, I've started studying digital law, technology related to law issues, blockchain, and artificial intelligence, and all the data protection also, but all the related matters that made the intersection between law and technology, and between the traditional law and digital law. And this is very relevant because from 2017 to here, we have a lot of evolution. We have a lot of discussions on blockchain. We have a lot of discussions on cryptocurrencies. A lot of new uses and use cases for artificial intelligence. And in some sense, litigations, dispute resolution doesn't follow the same path, or at least doesn't follow at the same speed of change. So we have a lot of traditional courts, traditional processes that are still in the last century. So we have a lot of practices that are outdated now. So and this is a reality. Although Brazil has a lot of initiatives towards modernization. They use, for example, the use of electronic procedure, completely digital processes in state courts is already a reality, and we have in some sense we could say that we had some help from the COVID-19 pandemic that accelerates this change. So nowadays in Brazil, all the processes, all the judicial processes are digital, all are digitized, all we can access all over the world. You can work all over the places in Brazil, and all the processes are digital. But we have still some traditional mentalities applied to these digital processes, and this is the problem. But my journey is this. I was always curious on technology and matters related to technology and law, and so I have I'm some sense I deepened my knowledge in this kind of matter in order to understand. And now I research on this. I try to work on this. I write a few papers, a few articles on this kind of matter, and try to participate on discussions on the intersection of law and technology, because we now live in a digital world. We have digital relationships. We have digital a digital reality that needs an updated legal system, an updated judicial system or dispute resolution system by the means of ODRs, ADRs, and so on.
Andre, for people who, I mean, are not very familiar with Brazil and the state of the law industry, I mean, could you provide a general overview of, I mean, how the legal sector works? I mean, how widespread are alternative methods of dispute resolution? How widespread is online dispute resolution? So people who are listening to the podcast and that they don't know much about Brazil, they can learn a bit more about it.
Okay. Yeah, Brazil. Well, you started saying that Brazil has more than 1 million lawyers and attorneys. This is a reality. We are a country with something like 250 million people. So we have an enormous population. But we can say that most of the disputes go to state courts, and this is a reality. And if we access the data related to state court activities in Brazil, that is coordinated by what we call CNJ, National Council of Justice. The National Council of Justice is an oversight body for the judiciary, and it has and uses all the data and reunites all the data from and collects the data from all the state courts, federal courts, military courts, and so on. And this council produces a report on the situation of the judicial power in Brazil, and we can say the number. I can show you some numbers after this, but we have a lot of litigation in Brazil. We have and let me mention specifically for the year of 2021, for example, there were 27 million new cases in the Brazilian courts, and pending cases, 77 million cases pending. So the situation of the disputes and litigation in Brazil is very, very broad. And there is a specific, and you have mentioned the situation of corruption, the situation of a bureaucracy in Brazil. The greater litigator in Brazil is the state, is the Brazilian state. The Brazilian state stays in the first position of the list of the greater litigators in Brazil, because there's a lot of specifically pension disputes, economic disputes, and tax disputes. So the Brazilian state is responsible for most of the cases that come to the state courts every year. So this is a reality. And on the other hand, we can mention the situation of arbitration in Brazil. Arbitration is a very well established institution in Brazil. There's a law of 1996 that consecrated the validity of arbitration and was confirmed that its constitutionality was confirmed several times by the Supreme Court. So there's an established arbitration practice in Brazil. There are a lot of arbitration institutions, a lot of institutions that promote arbitration in Brazil, and most of the international institutions of arbitration, like ICC, are in Brazil too. They have offices in Brazil too. But we can identify that arbitration, those who resort to arbitration are a specific niche of this this great amount of cases and disputes in Brazil, specifically commercial disputes between great companies and great companies of a certain there are bigger that there are a certain size, and we can say that there is no arbitration for the minor disputes. So this is and this kind of cases, this specific cases goes to the state courts. They come to the state courts specifically because Brazil has a very well distributed system of small cases courts. There are a lot of small cases courts that function, and people and doesn't need a lawyer to go to this court. They can make their claim, they can make their request registered by the court and dispute small cases, situations like flight delays, lost bags, and so on, and consumer disputes, and this kind of disputes usually go to the small claims courts in Brazil. And there's a lot of cases that go to, there are million cases by year that go to the small
Andre, how much it costs, and how long it takes to reach to a ruling in a small claims court? Is this something that is working okay, or is this inefficient? What is the status of those small claims courts?
Yeah, usually the small courts for the consumer, for the common citizen to request, to make a request before a small claims court, usually is free. But there's a cost that's a hidden. We can say that's a hidden cost, that the time that it takes to get a final decision on the court. Usually it takes something like 1.5 and 2 years to have a case decided by small claims court in Brazil, and it depends on the region. There are specific situations across all the country, because Brazil has a lot of different regions, different organizations, different state organizations. Small claims courts are part of state courts that are organized by each Brazilian state. So that could vary according to the states. There are states that have more resources and could provide more resources to this kind of a small claims court, and so the situation varies. But in general, we can say that a small claims court takes up to 2 years to be decided in Brazilian judicial system, and this is the kind of case that the people go to the small claims court because of this, and there's no alternative. Arbitration is too expensive for this kind of dispute. There's no arbitration for this. There's an initiative that could be mentioned that was created by the National Consumer Commission, National Consumer Secretary on the Ministry of Justice, that is called consumidor.gov. This is in Portuguese, but consumer.gov. This is a kind of system that the consumer could pose and could make its claim, his or her claim against a specific firm, a specific company related to consumer disputes, and the system notifies the company to respond and to answer to the claim, and depending on the situation that the claim is resolved or not, the company and the provider receives a specific notice, receives a specific score that put this company in a classification on the companies that are good to consumers or are bad to consumers. So it's not a binding decision. There's no decision in this system, this specific system that's a digital system of the Brazilian government. There is no binding decision.
It's like a reputation system where if you behave poorly to the consumer, then you will get bad reputation. It's like the public the government version of Reclame Aqui kind of platform, let's say.
Yeah. It's like the Reclame Aqui, the claim here.
Yeah. Maybe explain what that is, because lots of people will not know. That's a famous private platform for Brazilians to make claims when they didn't have a good answer by the state court. Maybe you can explain better than me, for sure.
Yeah. The Reclame Aqui, we can translate to claim here. It's a private platform. Where people that have usually consumer dispute with a company could make a claim, could make a reclamation, and so the name Reclame Aqui, make a reclamation online. And the company could answer or not answer, but there's a reputation system. The idea of the consumer.gov is the same. There's a reputation system, but there's no decision. We can make our pleads or can make our claims in this platform, but it's not obligatory. If the company, if the service provider does not respond, you have to resort to a state court or to arbitration, depending on the case, but usually to a state court, and usually and specifically in this kind of case to the small claims court. So this is a reality. This kind of platform already exists. And Brazilian government enacted this platform some time ago, but there's no specific, there's no this does not constitute a kind of online dispute resolution. There's no dispute resolution, even though in some cases when you make a claim, the service provider answer and in some cases accept your claim and resolve the situation and solve the dispute. So a lot of disputes are related to this. We can attribute this to a kind of this to this the effects of the reputation system. So there's a nudge for the companies, for the service providers to accept and process adequately or process throughoutly the cases and try to resolve the cases because nobody wants to have a bad reputation on this kind of platform. But there's no resolution of a dispute. There's no decision on this. It's not an online dispute resolution as we know, system as we know. So there's this system. So this is the gross overview or outlook of the Brazilian justice system. Of course, we have a lot of specificities, but when we take this view of the mass disputes, of the mass cases related to consumer, to tax cases, and so on, we have this overview. We are still depending on the state to resolve our disputes, and this costs a lot. The CNJ, the National Council of Justice, has an estimate of billions of reais, equivalent to billions of dollars in spending to maintain this system. And so, and it's a system that's costly and doesn't provide a fast decision, a speed decision to people. So there's still room for another players, there's still room for players that could provide another kind of solution for this kind of disputes.
So let's say I am a consumer. I bought some plane tickets from Belo Horizonte to Rio, and there was a problem with my tickets, or the flight was delayed or cancelled, and I want to make a claim. The small claims court, maybe I paid like, I don't know, $200 for the tickets. I should be prepared to go to court and wait like for like 2 years until I get a decision. And how many times do I have to go to? I mean, do I have to go to a physical place, to a physical court, or can I do this online, the resolution?
Nowadays, it's possible to have all the process online. There's a kind of process that was created by Brazilian legal system that's called 100 digital process. So this is a kind of small claims court process that is already, it's possible to be 100% digital, but not everyone could afford or could have access to this digital courts. We have a lot of difference and difference in Brazil. Not everyone has equal access to internet, to a webcam, to equipment necessary to participate on this. So this is it is still possible to have a physical there's a physical place, a physical court in which people could go and make their claim and make their requests, and usually if there is a physical if it's a physical a process that will have physical hearings, usually you have one or two hearings during the process, usually one, but but could be 2 hearings. So we can count on time, on the need to go to court, or to reserve the time to participate in a virtual hearing. So there are all these costs that are related to the court. If we put on paper, probably the cost of the court, the cost of the magistrates, the judges, and the personnel to support the court, and the costs related to the time needed to the plaintiff to present the claim, probably usually, and we can say that usually is higher than the cost or the dispute. The good in dispute is a fraction of the entire cost of the process, entire costs related to being in court, even in a small court that you don't have to pay court fees.
Okay, so you have painted a good picture of the Brazilian legal system with it, well, the good things, the bad things. Tell us a bit about how is the ecosystem of legal innovation? What startups are doing innovation in ADR, ODR? How is that going there in Brazil?
There are some cases of startups trying to enter the field of what we call legal tech, and try to bring solutions to this kind of situation. But there are not big players. There are still not big players in Brazil. In Brazil, it is a specific market. If we see the innovation, the digital innovation market in Brazil, and see the financial system, for example, we can identify big players. There are already big players, unicorns, as they are called, in the digital financial landscape. But in the legal tech landscape, there are still only specific tentatives and specific firms trying to present some solution. There's no big platform trying to solve this kind of situation, or to present a new kind of ODR for small claims, or trying to automate some part of the dispute resolution related to consumer disputes and so on.
I mean, why do you think this is the case? Why do you think Brazil has this billion-dollar, companies in finance, and why this is still not the case in the legal tech space?
I don't know if probably there's no there is no unique cause for this. Probably there's a conjunction of causes. Probably we can say that the state courts and even when we talk about arbitration, state courts were wary of losing their power. So, as I mentioned, arbitration law in Brazil was enacted in 1996. But arbitration, the arbitration activity wasn't very developed in the beginning of the validity of the law. So we can say that on the beginning of 2000s, we can say that arbitration started to rise as a dispute resolution method. But when and this is in part because state courts were wary of losing their power. this is contradictory, because they receive a lot of work, and they could unload this work to another kind of dispute resolution. Then the courts were in a process of understanding this kind of alternative dispute resolution, in order to accept arbitration, in order to accept other kinds of dispute resolution, as mediation, as transaction and mediation. So this could be one cause, but also I think that Brazilian people, Brazilian citizens in general, are they do not trust in private systems. They use the, as you mentioned, they use the Reclame Aqui, the claim here. They use some kind of system, but they don't rely on a private company to solve disputes, or don't rely on a platform that could present a specific dispute resolution system for them. So this could be a cultural phenomenon related to this idea that the state courts don't confirm this and view this kind of dispute resolution with untrust.
I mean, I can relate to lots of that as I being Argentinian. I guess in general there is this like a general lack of trust from the citizen to, I would say, first to the government, and then also to maybe to big organizations, including the government as a big organization. This kind of is something that I see in Argentina. I'm guessing Brazil has also some of these. I'm wondering, like in the first element you mentioned about state courts seeing arbitration like bit aside, competitors, if you want. Um, let's say, let's say at some point, I mean, we want to start using Kleros to resolve disputes in e-commerce in Brazil or another industry. Would a ruling made by Kleros be acceptable as a valid enforceable ruling under Brazilian arbitration law, let's say?
Yes, with some
It depends.
reservations. Yes, with some reservations, because arbitration in consumer relationships or consumer contracts have a specific view, a specific is very restricted, and interpretation of the arbitration clause on consumer contracts is usually very thought for being for the courts to invalidate this kind of provision. And but usually we can mention two specific matters that in which arbitration is very controversial, is still controversial in Brazil. It's consumer disputes and workforce disputes of disputes related to work relationship. So this kind of dispute is usually viewed as a state-related dispute resolution system. It's difficult to have an alternative dispute resolution system in this kind of matter. But in consumer cases, there are already cases in which arbitration is possible, and it's perfectly valid according to arbitration law, and Kleros could be could be viewed as a kind of arbitration, but there could be still disputes related to the validity of the decision made by the Kleros system, by the Kleros tool, and an enforcement of the decision in the case for example, the service provider does not comply with the decision made in favor of a consumer. So this is probably one hurdle that we can mention in Brazilian system related to this kind of dispute resolution system. But I think, and if we see the law and we see the cases that reach the superior courts, the Supreme Court and the Superior Court of Justice, arbitration in consumer relationships is valid, provided that some specific requisites are reached and are present.
And what about the second, element you mentioned about like people not trusting, private institutions for resolving disputes, not trusting ODR companies. Do you think that the fact that the use of, blockchain can help overcome this? As because with blockchain, people can see how the process works, so there is, less of reason to like not trust that process that is done within a black box, let's say.
Yeah, probably, but there's still we have still a long way to educate people on blockchain, and probably the main obstacle to the use and to adoption of blockchain dispute resolution systems as Claros is the need to have and to have some to be accustomed to work and to have cryptocurrencies and blockchain related ledgers and so on. So this is probably a barrier to the adoption of blockchain dispute resolution systems, but it's possible this could be a reality in some time, and but I think at least in Brazil there's still the need to educate people, to convince people, to show people how this kind of tool, how this kind of technology work, and make the use of this technology easy as using a mobile phone app. So this is the idea. I think that the UX, the user experience and the user interface could be easier in order to convince people and in order to convince people to use this kind of technology. When we think of blockchain systems and blockchain apps, usually you need a wallet, you need your private key, you have to use a specific app, a decentralized app or not, with your wallet and match with your wallet and private key to use another services. So it's not easy for someone that lost the bag to start this process. Probably it's easier to go to the small claims court and make the filing that is very easy to file and very simple to present the request. And as a curiosity, for some time when Brazilian in Brazil, the states installed small claims courts inside the airports for this kind of case.
Really?
So people I lost my bag or my flight is delayed, so I can go to the small court that's inside the airport and make the claim. So it's very easy to access this kind of dispute resolution system, even though we have the time needed to solve a dispute. We have the costs, the hidden costs for people who reach and who use this kind of dispute resolution system, and the specific cost for the state, for all the citizens that pay the taxes to maintain this kind of system. So, but this is a specific view. I think that with the evolution of the use of blockchain and crypto related apps by the population in general, this kind of dispute could be a more common, and even it's possible to imagine that in some cases the blockchain system, the blockchain infrastructure, it's hidden. It's only
Yeah.
on the back, and people usually work and interact with an app like
Yeah.
another app, like another common app in the mobile phone. So this could be a reality, and this could be something that could lead to more adoption, a massive adoption of this kind of solution. And I don't know, but it's possible also to envisage a situation in which this kind of dispute resolution tools providers, as Claros provide this kind of tool, could could associate with great companies and big companies, that consumer companies and services providers, in order to embed the platform inside the website of the company, the website
Yeah.
for when you made a claim, when you post a claim, or you made a request to the company, the process start moving the platform. So this could be also a kind of a way to enhance and develop this kind of solution in Brazil.
Yeah, also that's a bit the idea. So Claros is as a provider of resolution protocol. I mean, you can embed it in different ways and different use cases. So, and this is discussions we are having and pilots we are currently having with the companies that are like consumer facing, and they have disputes between company and consumer, in the field of, for example, financial services, in the field of insurance, in the field of e-commerce. So the customer, when they have a claim with the company, they could go to the company website and they interface with the company website, which is very friendly, and the user knows it and they know how to use it. But on the back end, there is like a Claros system which gives the transparency for the customer to know that the process is being handled. I mean, in a way that is fair, and it's not being uh, tampered with by the company. One of the main reasons why the ODR methods failed a bit to take traction in the space of consumer claims is because it was unclear how the process worked. And the dispute resolution system is essentially an adversarial situation between two parties, which are in a situation where they don't trust each other, and uh, they have reasons to be wary of the other side intention. So if one of the sides operates the dispute resolution system, it's like being the judge and a party at the same time. So this is
Yeah.
not a great situation for consumers to actually trust the system. So Claros can provide this infrastructure for which uh, both parties can know that their situation is going to be resolved by a really neutral third party, and blockchain can make sure that everyone can verify that. For everyone that knows how to verify stuff on blockchain, which is a,
Yeah.
a very important, caveat at this point, but also, I mean, and this is something we see from our interactions with different companies, regulators, lawyers from lots of different countries. There is definitely a change in how people react to blockchain. So, like 5 years ago, when we started Claros, I mean, no one knew what blockchain was. Why would you use blockchain for solving disputes? And we have done lots of evangelizing work in the meantime, and people already understand why you would need systems based on blockchain to resolve claims. Um, and this also is coming at the same time that a number of other improvements are taking place, like blockchains being cheaper to use. Uh, so, what the most interesting stuff to solve are consumer claims, but it's hard to solve a consumer claim for e-commerce for a pair of shoes if the cost of using a blockchain is like $500 in transaction costs in Ethereum, right? So a number of technical improvements is making blockchains very cheap to use, as cheap as any computer centralized system. So there is a number of things that are, I think, converging into a situation where the evolution we saw in the last years, in the past few years, was like a line that this was growing like this, a bit disappointing. But now we are entering, I guess, the exponential side of the curve, and this is going to grow very fast because lots of different things are, I believe, aligning at the moment. So let me ask you a follow-up question. So how do you imagine the state of a Brazilian dispute resolution ecosystem to be like in 5 years based on current trends?
Well, in 5 years, probably we'll have more ODR systems. And the example of consumer.gov, Reclame Aqui, and the idea of a 100% digital process in the state courts, we will always have this kind of at the same time we'll have the state courts and ODR systems, but there's a lot of room to improve on legal tech, and specifically on ODR systems, on dispute resolution systems, digital based dispute resolution systems and tools. And when we see that a lot of the disputes are related to consumer, and related also to tax disputes between states and state entities and citizens, we can imagine also a kind of digital dispute related, and a kind of this alternative dispute resolution system related and involving the state also. And this could be a reality. There's room for this, and economically it makes all sense, because the states spends more and more in the court system and the judicial court system, and the disputes, the number of disputes only are bigger yearly, so higher yearly, and yearly are bigger. So this kind of evolution, I think it's not only necessary, but will be needed in order to accommodate all the disputes inside the system, inside the country. So and we see also an evolution of blockchain and blockchain-based systems. We see an evolution of AI systems. So we have two different kind of technologies that could enhance providing justice and access to justice to citizens, and even to have the judicial system reserved for specific cases, and for more specific cases, or as a last resort dispute resolution system. So and we this when we see and we identify the digitization of our life and digitization of our relationships, we need a specific and digital kind of dispute resolution. So in 5 or 10 years, I don't want to be pessimist, but in 5 years, I think that this will develop a lot, and we have a lot of new players, a lot of new platforms, and we will have even the government, even the states adopting this kind of ODR. And for example, for some time, arbitration was not admitted for disputes with between the state and the citizen, or between the state and a company. But with a lot of developments nowadays, all the infrastructure contracts in Brazil adopt arbitration as dispute resolution, as the specific dispute resolution for this kind of contracts. There are a lot of administrative contracts that adopt arbitration nowadays, and this is a we as you mentioned, this is a this go higher, and we can see the adoption is higher every day in this kind of dispute resolution. So we can say a better outcome, a better outlook in 5 years. Probably we'll have more options of dispute resolution systems, digital dispute resolution systems for Brazilian citizens and even for the government.
Andre, we're getting to the end of the interview, and I have a question. What piece of advice could you give a young lawyer just graduating from the university to start getting prepared to the world of a legal industry in Brazil in this future we are imagining of more ODR and private solution systems, consumer platforms run by the government. What skills, what advice do you give to this young lawyer just starting with its career?
Well, the we can identify that the Brazilian legal system is still very traditional, but even though there is this traditional view on the legal system, it's important to have the traditional legal base on all the matters. But there's a need. The young lawyer needs to identify this kind of intersection between law and technology, and know all the new tools and study this kind of new tools, because the evolution of the legal system depends not only of the state actors or the established actors, but the new generations of lawyers are also a great model for this new revolution in the legal system. Legal tech is a movement. As a movement, depends on young lawyers, on young entrepreneurs that reach and study new kinds of justice providers, new kind of dispute resolution systems, or new kinds of applying the law. Ideas like computational law, the use of artificial intelligence, applying blockchain to dispute resolutions, and applying blockchain to law in some cases is essential in order to have a specific view and a new view on the legal system, not only on the Brazilian legal system, but on the legal systems in general all over the world.
Excellent. What book or resources would you recommend to people who want to learn more about Brazil, the legal system? I mean, and all of the things that we discussed today. What resources can you recommend?
Mm, it's difficult to pick a specific book because they're they vary on the matter, but um, one it's difficult to say. I'm trying to have a broad view of the legal Brazilian legal system, but I can if people want to have a specific view of the Brazilian legal system, it's important, and I will cite some legal tests. It's important to know the Constitution. It's important also to know the Civil Procedure Code, and more recently, some specific laws on economic liberty are very important for the introduction of this kind of thinking of the Brazilian system. It's difficult to pick a specific author on the Brazilian system because it's difficult to identify one that covers all the matters or covers all the specific matters on Brazilian system. But it's important to have a specific goal and then choose the authors that are providing a new view and a specific new view on the matters.
Awesome, Andre. People who want to reach to you or follow you on social media, I mean, where can they reach to you?
Well, I can be found on LinkedIn. It's just to use my name usually, and on Instagram also. My identifier on Instagram is at André Guskow, like the Guskow of my surname, but André Guskow. So and I'm ready. I'm willing to discuss this kind of matter, this kind of issues with all people, and I'm open to the discussion.
Andre, thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you very much.
This was André Guskow Cardoso, and this was another episode of the Decentralized Justice Broadcast. I am Federico Ast, I am president of the Cooperative Cleros, and see you in our next episode. Bye bye.
Bye bye.